see how the whole thing works yet. I'm just kind of trying to figure it out. And I figure the only way I'm going to get this to work is by actually doing it. So this is what I wanted to talk about. So in the first video, when I talked about planning your perfect macros, like perfect macro planning for creating a deficit and dieting. How do we do that? So in the very first video, which I am hoping that I'm able to put over here for you once the live is over, I taught you how to first figure out, like, you want to figure out what your maintenance calories are. And almost any tracker that's out there can do that for you. I told you that you could use the Mifflin St. Jeor equation to figure that out for yourself. But you can also use ChatGPT, but you really need to check its data because it's not accurate. Remember, this is not what it was built to do. It's super helpful. But when it comes to things that have to do with complex equations, I've had a lot of great luck with it, and especially with scripts, by the way, in spreadsheets. So when it comes to dieting and nutrition, that's where I find it lacking. So in the video that I showed you before, we used that equation to come up with maintenance calories. So we used me as an example for maintenance calories. And I know it might be a little fuzzy in the screen, but you're just going to have to work with me here because I'm still new to all this, right? So my maintenance calories back there are 2,300 and I need to diet. So if I'm going to diet, I have to create a caloric deficit. Last time I did this video, we came up with maintenance calories for me for 2,300 calories. I want to create a deficit where I lose a pound a week. If I want to lose a pound a week, that means I have to somehow reduce 3,500 calories from my diet. The best way to do this is divide those 3,500 calories over the course of 7 days. And that's going to wind up giving me a 500 calorie deficit daily. So that winds up working out. So if I am at 2,300 calories daily, that means I'm going to reduce it by 500 calories because 5 times 7 is 35, right? So now I'm at 1,800 daily calories. And now I have to figure out what is the macro like proportion or allocation for my fats, proteins, and carbohydrates. So here, I just wanted to talk you through like my process. And I see I have another viewer, and thank you for joining. So here I just want to walk you through my process on how I develop my macros. Okay. So I like to eat 5 times a day. I know that I have 1,800 calories to work with. I like to eat 5 times a day. So it's pretty simple that I'm just going to divide 1,800 calories by 5 meals. That gives me 360 calories per meal. Now, that is just like a working number to start with. So if I was keeping things super, super simple, then that would just mean for 5 meals, it would be 360 calories each. And that works for a lot of people. And this actually worked for me for a long time in the beginning, where I just had 360 calories each meal. But you can tweak this and you can customize this a little more. Before I go into the customizing, I want to talk about the macro breakdown here. And let me just move my camera so you can see. Okay, so here we have our daily calories at each day, and we talked about this in the last video. I want to have 120 calories, or 120 grams of protein, 180 grams of carbs, and 65 grams of fat. The reason why I chose that is just because I like that breakdown. You can shift and move your macros any way you want. I have a very dear friend of mine who doesn't do well with high carbohydrates. These aren't really that high. She's up like around 400 grams of carbohydrates daily. So when she has to increase her calories because she's bulking, she will add it in fat. She'd rather have that increase in fat and not have as many carbs. This is completely customizable to you. So this is like where in my dream life I would be, because I'm giving myself 65 grams of fats and I never get that. I'm actually currently on 45 grams right now. So this is what my daily looks like. But you need to think about how are you going to break that down based on your meals too. So if this is my daily allotment and I'm going with this first stage here of like everything being super simple and basic of just 360 grams of, 360 calories per meal for 5 meals, then each one of the breakdowns would look something like this. Like my meal could be 24 grams of protein, 36 grams of carbohydrates, and 13 grams of fats. It's so easy to go over on fats though, because fats are inherent in so much of our food, in your carbohydrates, mostly in your proteins, especially if you like to eat red meat, you're going to be taking in more fat than you're anticipating. So you have to plan for that when you're doing your daily allotment. Now, this is not necessarily how I like to roll now because I train a lot in the morning. And so, because I train in the morning, I get really hungry in the morning, but I also like to have a substantial meal in the evening. Like 360 calories for dinner just kind of makes me a little sad, to be honest. I want to have a little bit more food. So, this is how I kind of tweak things. My meal one is staying the same. If it's a training day for me, then I am most likely gonna train fasted, which means I'm not gonna have any food in my belly when I go to train first thing in the morning. But that's also I wake up at there we go. I wake up at 3:45 in the morning to train. So me getting to the gym at 5 a.m. and I just sometimes I'll have like a half a banana, but that's pretty much it. So what I did here is I simply divided my meal two and my meal four in half. So instead of 360, 360, I did it 180, 180. And then I took that total number, that 360, and added it to my dinner. So that way my dinner is nice and substantial. Now, some of you might not care about dinner. It may not be a big thing for you. I just, I like my dinners. But on a day where I might be super, super hungry in the morning, I can shift this any way I want. I can move my I could do meal one regular, have two 180s, and then have a 360 and a 720. So that would mean that my distribution for food here is going to be double what we have here. So I could have 50 grams of protein, just about. I could have 72 grams of carbohydrates, and I could have 26 grams of fats. Like that would make me so much happier because I don't know. There's something about after working a long day, just coming home and having a substantial meal just makes my heart happy. So, my point is in the first video, when I was talking to you about how you can customize the macros to meet your needs, we were only talking about it at a day, kind of like a holistic, what's your daily necessity for calories. We didn't get into the nitty gritty of the day. And that's where the beauty of using macros can be. And that's also where some of the problems can be. So there is something to be aware of when you're using a macro based plan is that there's actually a movement called, I think it's, well, if you Google if it fits your macros, there's actually a macro tracker that does that. The problem with that is if I've only got 720 grams of, no, I mean 720 grams or 720 calories, it's late, sorry, for dinner, and I decide I want to have a Pop Tart. Well, that Pop Tart's going to eat like a good chunk of this away, and it's not going to be very filling. It's going to leave me hungry, and I'm going to want more food, and I'm going to feel unsatisfied in my diet. Using macros, you really want to stick with whole foods as much as possible. I highly suggest that at least one of your meals is going to have raw vegetables or a salad or something in that. The fiber is going to help you stay fuller longer and not get as hungry. So it can be following a macro plan, which is what I feel most comfortable with, can have a lot of freedom in it, but it also can give you enough rope to hang yourself, for lack of a better way of putting it. Because if you're not careful and you just think, oh, well, this Twix bar, I can fit it in my macros, it doesn't mean that's going to be effective for you if you're trying to lose weight. you really want to make sure that you are, paying attention, eating whole foods. And probably the biggest part of this, if you really, really want to lose weight, is pre planning your days. And this is a battle that I still face. And let me turn the camera a little bit. Like, this is one that I still can have problems with sometimes. Um, if you pre-plan your day and you put your entire day in your tracker before your day even starts, you're already going to be successful. But if you wait and do it after the fact, you're rarely going to be right. And you're going to wind up shorting yourself food later on in the day. Like, trust me, I've made this mistake for you many times. Also, I find that I am less likely to make an error when I pre track my entire day. That also means that I pack almost all of my food. In fact, the only thing I usually don't pack on a work day is dinner. And sometimes I pack that too because I like to eat like around 5:30, 6 o'clock. And if I have a late night or running around because of kids' sports or anything like that, I need to have dinner with me. For any of those of you out there that have to eat on the run, look up on Amazon. There is a plug-in lunchbox. This thing is amazing. I don't like having cold food except for salads. I hate cold food, but I'll eat it if I have to. But this plug-in lunchbox, you can plug it into your car jack or you could plug it into a wall. It heats your food in like 15 minutes and it's amazing. So you want to plan everything. If you're serious about your weight loss, if like you really want to get serious, plan your day. It's that old adage, a failure to plan is a plan to fail. Like, I have proven that over and over and over again. And the only times where I experience like serious rapid success is when I am pre planning my entire day. Now, some of you may not be up for that, and that's totally fine. This is just one methodology of dieting that works really well for me. I've done this, and I also do food plans. I create food plans, but I also have followed food plans in the past as well. And the great thing about food plans, again, if your coach gives you a food plan, everything's pre planned out. You have your entire day in front of you. And for the coach, that makes it easy because I know what I can pull and I know what I can put back in. So when you're considering dieting, you really want to think about what makes most sense for you. It's all about your lifestyle, what types of food you like to eat, and what seems to make most sense. The macro part, I have clients that love it. And then I also have clients that are like, can you just give me a food plan? Because I don't want to think. That's both fine. There's nothing wrong with it. When I'm dieting, and I'm in the middle of prep right now, when I am dieting, my macros wind up becoming virtually like a food plan because I'm eating the same thing all the time. I like what I eat. I like my food. It doesn't feel like a downer for me, but it's just kind of easier for my mental space to just eat the same thing, you know. And like I said, maybe sometimes there'll be variability with dinner, but not often. My current dinner right now is a spinach and egg white omelet, which I love. And I'm just checking to see if there's any questions. Nothing there. So I'm trying to think about some simple hacks. If you're super hungry at night, let's say you don't have 720, you didn't pre-plan your day. You're at the end of the night and you only have a few hundred calories left. Something that'll help carry you is a teaspoon, not a tablespoon, a teaspoon of nut butter actually helps cut your hunger. Some other things to look out for when you're dieting and it's been a long time. If you're dieting for a long period of time, there's a thing in the bodybuilding world called a refeed. And it's it is a great technique. And if you use it well, it will serve you well, but you have to be very careful because a refeed is not a free meal. And that's a big shift in what some people think. When you're really dieting, there's really no cheat meals. This is my own personal opinion. I don't roll that way because you have to think about any of the food that's going to be like a cheat meal is most likely going to be food out. And the food that you're going to eat out is designed to be hyper palatable, meaning it's designed to be super tasty. If you go out to a restaurant, they're going to give you super tasty food and they want you to eat more. So when you're having a refeed, you want to keep like have more volume of food, but the same kind of foods, which is kind of like a want want, but it's true. So for my refeeds, I have been dieting since I want to say late January, and it's been slow for me. Thank you, perimenopause. Love you so much. It's been lovely. So I'm dieting because I have a show coming up in late June. And the first 10 pounds took a long time to get off. And I hopefully have another 10 to go, but we'll see what my body does. The rules have been changing. But a refeed has been a big part of that. So I would say about a month ago, my coach started instituting a weekly refeed on Friday nights or Fridays during the day. And that's actually been instead of my current calorie count, my current carbohydrate count, I'm sorry, which is 180 carbs, my coach gives me 270 carbs, which definitely allows for a little bit more flexibility. But I have to be careful how I use either these diet breaks or refeeds. So if I go out there, like I said, and I go to a restaurant and I get some really tasty food, you know what's going to happen? I'm going to want more really tasty food because that's what the restaurant industry does for us. Anything that's super, super tasty is going to make you crave more, especially if there's fat and sugar in it. Forget it. For me, I can't personally handle it. I will just go ham and just go to town and keep eating way more than I need to. The next technique that you can use if you're doing long-term dieting, let's say if you've been dieting for, let's say 4 months or so, and you notice that you plateaued or you stalled, hear me when I say this. Stalling in dieting is normal. It's okay. It's a natural part of your body's metabolic adaptation. This is what your body does when it's dieting. Your body adjusts to the calories that you get. So, just about everybody who diets experiences a period of time during their diet where it just stops working. And that's okay. That just means your body has learned to become efficient with the calories that you decided to give it. So, where my body was used to functioning on 2,300 calories, it became efficient functioning on 1,800 calories and it adjusted itself. So it's like, okay, this is all I have to work with. So I'm going to do the best I can with this. And I stop losing weight on 1,800 calories. For me, I usually see a slow up after about a month to 6 weeks on the same calories. You can institute something called a diet break. And a diet break is not a free for all. It's not a cheat meal or a cheat week. It is a week back at maintenance. And we do that for a few reasons. We do that to give your body time to recover, time to get a pause and get a break. But we also do that as well to shake up your body and resensitize it, give it a little bit more insulin sensitivity, which it'll have from dieting, but it'll respond to the food a little better. And then you go back into your diet after about 5 days at maintenance. And that's with controlled macros. And I know when you hear something like a diet break, it sounds like really sexy and fun. Like, oh, wow, what am I going to get? A bunch of cake? No, you're not. Not if you're seriously dieting, that's not going to happen. At least not in the ways that I go about that with my clients. Um, but what does happen is your fatigue lessens, your mental clarity comes back, your motivation comes back. It's very common also, just so you know, that when you're dieting and you're working out or you're going to the gym and you hit one of those places, one of those plateaus where you're really not losing weight, you're also beginning probably to have issues being motivated going to the gym and maybe feeling tired or maybe feeling sore and not recovering. These are all very normal stages of metabolic adaptation and probably signs that you need to spend a few days, if not a week, at maintenance and a little bit less activity to let your body recover. And then you just jump back into the deficit from there. And if you have any questions, please drop them in the chat. I'm happy to answer anything that I am capable of answering for you. I'm just really taking the time to do a deep dive on what active dieting using a macro based plan would be like, but also just doing some dieting principles in general, because I feel like the experience I get from a lot of the people I encounter in the gym is just that there's so many people out there that are misinformed or given such faulty information, and they come out of this process of trying to diet feeling like failures. And they're not failures. They just hit a wall either with their metabolic adaptation, or they're just fried and their body needs a break, and you need to bring them back up to maintenance calories just for a few days so they feel better, and then they can jump back into it. But I find what often happens is that the people I run into, my coaching clients before I started working with them, is that they would have people, either trainers or friends, who would just keep saying, go harder, no pain, no gain. Everybody's got the same 24 hours in a day. And like all this stuff that's well intentioned, but comes off in a way that makes people feel like they're doing a bad job and not taking it seriously. And that doesn't have to be the case. Sometimes just a little knowledge about how your body works and how you can divvy up some of your food will go a long way just to helping somebody feel a little bit more successful. Now, like I said in the beginning of this video, and for those of you that are actually going back in the video right now to try and see like the beginning, I apologize because there's a bunch of mistakes there, because I am pretty much brand new to this. And this is the only live I've ever had where actually two people were watching. So internally, I'm like doing jumping jacks. I'm so stoked. But just as a real recap, I took my deficit. So 2,300 calories was my maintenance. I want to lose a pound of fat. To lose a pound of fat, we have to cut 3,500 calories. So if I take 3,500 calories and I decide, you know what, I want to lose a pound a week, that means I have to divide 3,500 calories by 7 days in a week. That gives me 500 calories a day that I need to cut. So that means that my calories are going to be at 1,800 calories. So from there, that's when I get to divvy up how many calories am I going to use per meal. I did 5 meals because I like to eat 5 meals. You don't have to do that. You could do 3 meals. You could do 4 meals. You could do 2 meals. Doesn't make a difference. It's all based on how often you like to eat. I like to eat 5 times a day. My first meal is usually by 7 o'clock in the morning. My second is I usually do 7, 10, around, I would say 1:30 to 2 o'clock. And then something, a smaller meal, like around 4 on the way home, and then I have dinner. I would say that my macros do quite often look close to this. Sometimes they look like this, especially now I'm trying to not have as many carbs in the middle of the day and save them to either the beginning or the end of the day. But this is why I divided 360 calories over the course of 5 meals. And that means that my daily protein, like my daily macro counts, are 120 grams of protein, 180 grams of carbohydrates, and 65 grams of fat. Now, I jumped into that, how I got these numbers, in my previous video. So if you're curious, just go back there. And then I further broke that down to what would be the portions be per meal. So if I'm doing 120 grams of protein a day, then per meal, that's approximately 24 grams. And the same thing, 180 grams of carbs is approximately 36 grams. 65 grams of fat per meal is going to probably be around 13. And what I said in the beginning of the video, for anybody that came in later, you can move these around. Like if I want to save carbs and have a big carby meal for dinner, I don't have to eat those 36 grams of carbs in some of my meals. I can just save them and tack them onto dinner. But the big thing I caution you is just to make sure that you don't get too hungry, because when you get too hungry, you are less likely to make good choices. And also, don't just assume because it fits your macros that it's a good thing for you to eat. So if you're going to throw a bunch of junk food in there that fits your macros, but your body's going to burn through it because it's simple sugars or it's going to be a severe spike to your insulin. Just not the best choices for you. Remember, severely tasty food, not severely, but listen, like, I can be all good and planned out here, but you put a box of Kraft macaroni and cheese in front of me, I'm going to house that whole thing. It's just going to happen. I have very little control when it comes to like a large portion of something in front of me. Like family style is my undoing. So if I don't have like a guideline to follow and if I don't measure things out when I'm dieting, then I'm never going to be clear about my numbers and I am very rarely going to be successful and then I'm going to feel frustrated. So I haven't seen any questions pop up, but I really appreciate the two people at the time during the live that came by. Thank you so much. I hope this was helpful for you. I apologize for my errors in the beginning and I am going to edit those out. But I hope this was helpful for you. And I hope that maybe this might have dispelled some dieting myths. Dieting is completely obtainable, it's just all about how we approach it. I also did not say something in the beginning that I do have to say. It's really, really important. Please don't get aggressive. Don't get aggressive with your dieting, okay? This is just for me as a coach. I don't let my people do this. So I said that if you cut 3,500 calories, that equates to a pound of fat. Some people might get a little freaky and decide, well, 3,500 calories equals a pound of fat that I could lose. Instead of losing 1 pound a week, let me try and lose 2 pounds a week. So that means that you're going to be reducing your intake by 7,000 calories over the course of a week. That's a lot. That's going to be 1,000 calories a day. So that means that I would go from 1,800 calories to 1,300 calories. So just to give you some perspective, as a bodybuilding competitor, the last couple weeks of my competition or my prep, I might get down to 1,300 calories. And that is, there's just nothing pretty about it. And I actually got a comment. Yay. Thank you so much, Barbara Vibes. Thank you. I appreciate that. If you have any questions, just let me know. So just don't get aggressive with your deficit, please, because I want you to be successful. Like this was a little aggressive. Going for a pound a week is a little aggressive. I prefer half a pound a week, and then you can add a little cardio in there, a little, not a lot. Remember cardio, you build up too. You don't hit hours of cardio out the gate. I am currently a competitor in prep and I have to finish my cardio tonight, and that's going to be 20 minutes. I did 25 this morning. I'm doing 20 minutes this evening. That's it. I'm done. Nothing crazy. You might see me do an hour a day a week or two before my show. That's it. We don't go crazy with that stuff because we don't want to be ever turn ourselves into a place where I can out exercise what I eat, because you can't. There's no way you can out exercise a bad diet, right? So we want to make everything sustainable and actionable for you. So I personally suggest shoot for cutting half of that, like a half a pound a week. But this is pretty much it. This is what I currently do. This is what I walk my clients through. And other adjustments that you might like if you like to have more fats in your diet, then you can cut down on the carbohydrates. Just realize that fats per gram take 9 calories to burn, where protein and carbs per gram only take 4. So fats are always going to have a really big bang for the buck. It's usually the first place I go to cut calories for a client, and the first place I'll go to add a little bit of calories for a client, and then carbs being next. And that's pretty much it, my friends. I'm just going to say thank you so much for the 2 people that tuned in. You made my night, because this is my second attempt at a live. And the first one, nobody showed up, but that was okay. I was just walking on a treadmill anyway. And if there's anything you'd like me to talk about fitness or nutrition or midlife, I'm here for it. Thanks for all your support, and I hope you have a great night.